Hello, welcome back. I'm Andreas, your tech-curious web designer. In this video, we will see how we can send monthly newsletters to subscribers using Celery Beat. Beat is a schedule manager which allows to run scheduled tasks at specific intervals, like every 10 minutes, every week, or every month, or at a specific date and time. It is a very useful tool if you want to run automatic background tasks periodically. But before we get started, a quick shout out to my new supporter on Patreon. A high five to Ashiro. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Okay, and now without further ado, let's dive in. To begin, let's start up all the services we need to run this. First, we have Redis as our message broker. And to run Redis on a Mac, which is the operating system I'm using here, I use Homebrew. With Brew services start Redis. Okay, Redis started successfully. Next I'm running my Celery worker. With Celery, -a for application, a_core is my core module where I define Celery. Then we have worker as the subcommand. With -e I send events to Flower, my monitoring tool, and with -l info I'm logging information about the process in my Celery terminal window. Okay, Celery is now up and running, and for now we have only the email notification task. In this video we will set up another task to send newsletters. Next I will start up Flower, so I open a new terminal. I rename the other terminal to Celery. And this new one to Flower. And the command to run Flower is Celery, -a for application, then a_core.celery_app is the module where Celery is defined, but we actually wouldn't need to add .celery_app here, because we defined it already in the init.py file. And then we have the subcommand Flower. Alright, now also Flower is running. Then I open a new terminal. And we are ready to implement Celery Beat, which is our application used to schedule and trigger periodic tasks in Celery. And I install this package with pip install django-celery-beat. Okay. We also have to add this application to our installed apps in the settings.py file. So inside the core folder, settings.py, here to the installed apps. Django_celery_beat. Okay, save this file. Now we have to do a migration because this will add some tables to our database. So I run python manage.py migrate and start up the server again with python manage.py run server. Alright, now let's check our admin interface to see what table it created. I'm going to localhost :8000/admin and log in. And Celery Beat added this periodic task section here. As we can see, there are different scheduling options. We have clocked, which runs tasks at a specific time, designed for a single execution. Then we have cron tabs, which allows us to specify periodic tasks. We will use this option to set up our monthly newsletter. Then we have intervals, where tasks are executed at fixed intervals of time, like every 10 minutes. Then we have the periodic task configuration table, where we define the task schedule. And we also have the option to have solar events, so based on the sun, like sunrise or sunset. So we have quite a few options here. Let's define now our periodic task. So I click here Add Periodic Task. Then I give it a name. send monthly newsletter. Then I select here task. And for now, we only have the email notification task. Let's create a new task now to send newsletters to subscribers. So back to the code. And we go to the task.py file in our message board app. And I create here now the send newsletter task. I again add the shared task decorator and give it the name monthly newsletter. I give it a subject You monthly newsletter. Then I fetch here all the subscribers of the message board with the ID 1 with subscribers.all. Okay, let's import message board. So from .models import everything. And then I create here a loop, which loops through all the subscribers. As the body, I render out a newsletter.html file. Let's import this function. So from Django.template.loader import render to string. And to this newsletter template, I'm passing through the subscriber's name to include a personal greeting. With subscriber to profile.name. Then I create here my email object using the email message class. Add here the subject, the body, and the subscriber email address. And because we're sending through our HTML, we also have to declare here the content subtype. And then we can send the email with email.send. Alright. And then I'm also adding a return statement, so we can see the result in our backend. But this would print out just this line every month. Let's change it to something more dynamically. For example, updating the month. So for example, June. And displaying the subscriber count. Okay, and to calculate the month, we can use the datetime module. And this line gives me the full name of the month when this task is triggered. Using the string format time method, and the %b is the format code for the full month name. Okay, let's import datetime. So from datetime, import datetime. Then I can add here the current month's variable and convert it to our f string. Okay, and for the subscriber count, I also create a variable. So subscriber count equals subscriber.count. And I'm adding this variable here. Alright, this will now generate a dynamic result. Now we need to restart the Celery worker, so these changes are reflected in Celery. So I'm going to my Celery terminal, Ctrl+C to shut it down, and I press the up arrow to go to my last command, and run the Celery worker again. Alright, and as we can see here, this monthly newsletter task was added to the list. Awesome! Okay, let's create now this newsletter.html file. I go to my templates folder, inside the message board folder, and add here my newsletter markup. For now, this is just a very basic HTML code. Later, we will extend this with a proper newsletter template. So this code includes the name variable to greet each subscriber by their name. Okay, save this file. Now let's set up our scheduled task. So back to the admin interface. To make the new task visible in the drop-down here, we just have to refresh the page. So just copy the name and refresh the page and add it back in. And now we can see the task is added to the list. So select monthly newsletter as the task. Make sure enabled is true. Then here we have the different schedule options. We can create those schedules straight in this interface here as well. We are interested in a cron tab schedule. So I'm clicking here this green plus symbol. And to send this newsletter, for example, on the 1st of each month at 9 o'clock in the morning, we will change this to minutes 0, hours 9, on which day, on the 1st of each month, then on which month of the year, we keep here the asterisk, meaning on every month of the year, and on which days of the week. And also here we leave the asterisk for every day. Okay, and then we click Save. So with this configuration, the newsletter will be sent out on the 1st of each month. Additionally, we could also add here a start date time to define when this schedule should start running. Okay, then we click Save. We are not just done yet, we will also need to run the Celery Beat as a separate application. And we run it with a Celery Beat command. Let's open up a new terminal window. I rename it to Beat. And the command to run Celery Beat is celery -a for application, a_core. This is the module where the Celery instance is defined in my project. And then the subcommand beat. We can also add -l info, which gives us information about the process by logging it into the terminal. And finally, we also have to add the scheduler. This specifies which scheduler class to use. And we're using the database scheduler, which is connected to our database. Django _celery _beat .schedulers database scheduler. Okay, this is our command. Now let's run it. Alright, Beat is starting up the process now and is getting ready to begin scheduling and dispatching tasks. Let's test this. And instead of waiting for the 1st of the month, I will trigger the task now. So if I refresh the page here now, we can see that Celery Beat added a cleanup task as well. This task can be scheduled to help remove old, unnecessary results from the backend. A useful task to free up storage space. Okay, let's change the cron tab to send a newsletter now. And to get the current time, I can click here on Now and Today. And now let's edit the cron tab. So I want to trigger it in 2 minutes. So I add here 22. Then I fill out the rest of the fields. Okay, and then we save the cron tab. And save. So this task now should be triggered in around 2 minutes. Let's check it out in Flower. So I'm going to localhost :5555 and monitor the process from here.
A few moments later.
As we can see, we have an active task right now, and it was executed successfully. Here we can see the task which were run, so I accidentally triggered the task twice, I think, but the correct cron tab was for 22 minutes. And the newsletter was sent to 3 subscribers. Okay, let's check our inbox. And yes, I received the email and it says Hello Admin, which is the name of the account I'm logged in. Now let's send a proper designed newsletter. I prepared a newsletter template for this, and my supporters on Patreon can take it from patreon.com/AndreasChat. Okay, save this file. Now that we changed the task with a new newsletter template, we need to restart the Celery worker. So shut down and start it back up. Alright. And now if I want to see this newsletter template on the website, I can create a view and a path. To create a path, I'm going to my urls.py file. The path is /newsletter. Save this file. Now I create the newsletter function, so I'm going to my views.py file and render this newsletter.html file. And to make sure only the admins of the website can see this newsletter, I add a user passes test decorator. Let's import this decorator. From django.contrib.auth.decorators import user passes test. And this decorator accepts a function as an argument which checks if the user is a staff member. So let's create this function. It's taking in the user object, and if the user is a staff member, it returns the value true. Okay. Save this file. Now let's check out the newsletter. First I go to my website with localhost :8000. And then I add /newsletter. Okay, and this is my template with a header image, a personal greeting, here the subscriber name will be displayed, a button with a link to the website, a content section with an image, and a footer with the logo and social media buttons. Okay, let's send this newsletter now. I also quickly change my account name. For this, I'm going to edit profile and add here a display name. Okay. And now back to the admin interface to trigger the task again. I change the cron tab again to be triggered in the next 2 minutes. And I monitor the execution again on Flower. The task is processed right now. And now completed. Let's check now our inbox. And there we go. I received a newsletter with a personal greeting. Hi Andreas. Nice.
Nice.
Alright. Now as last thing I would like to implement the unsubscribe function. So at the very end here we see if you no longer wish to receive the newsletter, you can unsubscribe here. And the link goes to our profile settings page on the website. So let's add a newsletter section here with the option to cancel the subscription. So for this I'm updating the profile model. So I'm going to my users app. Here to models.py. And I'm adding here the newsletter subscribe property, which is a Boolean field with the default value of true. Okay, save this file. Then we have to make a migration. So I select my Python terminal, shut down the server, then Python manage to make migrations, and Python manage to migrate. And then run the server again with python manage.py run server. Alright, then I'm adding some code to the profile settings page in templates, profile settings.html, and just before the delete account section, I add here the newsletter row. You can find the code for this in my GitHub repository. Okay, save this file. Let's check it out. I refresh the page. And we have a newsletter section. So let's add now the logic to cancel it. So if the user is subscribed to the newsletter, I would like to display subscribed in a green color. Else, I display unsubscribed in a red color. And end if. And add this condition also here to the cancel button. So if the user is subscribed, I display cancel. Else, I write activate. And end if. Okay, and now let's create this toggle function, which toggles between subscribing and unsubscribing. So let's add here a URL. I call this URL profile-newsletter. Now let's add this path to our urls.py file. And now let's create this newsletter subscribe function. So in the views.py file, I add here this function with a login required decorator. Our user is the logged in user. Then I set here the newsletter subscribe property to the opposite of this property, meaning when the user clicks the button, it will toggle between true and false. Then I save this user profile and redirect the user back to the profile setting page. Okay, save this file. Let's test this. So I refresh the page. At the moment I'm subscribed, then I cancel here. And now I am unsubscribed. Great. But as you can notice, the links move slightly. This is because of the different length of the words. Let's add a minimum width to the column to stop this. So I'm going to my profile settings.html file. Here I go to the first row and then to the last column. And here I'm adding a min width class. This column has now a min width of 20. Okay, let's check it out. I refresh the page. Let's cancel it and activate. Nice, and now the links stay in place. And finally, I add the logic to send the newsletter only to the people with an active subscription. So I go back to my tasks.py file. Here at the moment I still fetch all the subscribers. So instead of all, I change this to filter. And this filter fetches only the users whose newsletter subscribe property on the profile class is set to true. Alright, save this file. So we change the task.py file again, so we have to restart Celery. So shut down and start up again. Alright, let's send a final newsletter now. But this time I unsubscribe, so I shouldn't receive it. Okay, let's check it out. And as we can see here, the very last newsletter was sent only to 2 subscribers. And indeed, only Lucy and Pete got a newsletter this time. Alright, this is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. In the next video, we will see how we can deploy this whole Celery ecosystem to our web server. Until then, stay curious, my friends, and bye bye for now.